So, if just a question. So, you just said when men interrupt and dominate spaces. Were you a toxic feminist when you interrupted me when I was on stage?
No, I was interrupting something.
I'm just asking.
But I fundamentally don't believe it.
I'm just asking because you're saying that somebody interrupting someone is now a symbol of toxic masculinity. You just interrupted me on stage. So, are you a toxic feminist?
I wasn't interrupting you because I didn't.
You went bullshit.
Yeah, because you were
talking
bullshit. Because you were talking bullshit. I didn't interrupt you because you're a woman. I interrupted you because I didn't believe what you were saying. It's not that I didn't believe.
But maybe that's what men do sometimes. Is it possible that men sometimes interrupt because they disagree with what women are saying and not because they're toxic masculinity in the air? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Is that you're coming up with terms, and sometimes people just interrupt. I'm fine with the fact that you interrupted me. It happens all the time, and I'm not holding that against you. I'm just using it to prove a point that you've created an entire concept around when men interrupt women, but you literally just interrupted me, and you don't identify as yourself as a toxic feminist.
Welcome back, you 3,592 beautiful people. We're going to be looking at this video today, and also the 80% that are not subscribed yet. Hopefully we can earn it today. We're looking at a modern feminist against Candace Owens and the Turning Point UK team. So let's have a listen to what she's got to say. And the thing is, you know, take it for what it is, because a lot of modern feminists believe what she believes. And a lot of modern, you know, young girls coming through who are taught to kind of dislike being a mother, dislike being a traditional woman. It's as if they have to say, if you want to be a traditional woman, no, there's something wrong with you. You must have been forced by a man, or you must be forced by the patriarchy. Some sort of thing must have happened, because no, women shouldn't think like that. Let's just have a listen to what she's got to say. Please comment as well. I'm going to try not butt in at all during this whole video, because it is just worth listening to, and we can talk about it after and break it down. And if you do like the videos, please leave a like. That'll help getting into the algorithm, and people will be able to see my videos. But the main thing is comment. Let me know what you think about this. What do you think about this lady? As you can see, the first comment on the video: as a British man, I can only apologize for this fool. She is the definition of, my feelings are more important than facts. Yes, let's just have a listen to what she has to say, and you let me know what you think.
I just so deeply object to a lot of what you're saying, but at the root I feel like there's a clear misunderstanding about the core values of feminism. You're saying that it's bitter women, or that it's not allowing men to be men anymore, or demonizing masculinity. I really don't agree with. I don't think there's any value in kind of glorifying toxic masculinity that we have now, with making it seem as though being a violent man or anything like that is appropriate. I think it's really damaging.
Would you be able to phrase it as a question? Sorry for the panel.
Oh, okay.
I can say a couple of things back, and we can have a discussion about this. So first and foremost, you started by saying, I feel like. It's really important that we know what you think like, because a big problem is that people are thinking, or are feeling, and they're not really thinking anymore. Secondly, you brought up toxic masculinity. I believe toxic masculinity exists, but it exists inside of radicalized feminists, right? Where they're thinking that they should be able to own and control society because they're marching in the street with pussy hats and saying that they demand justice for a free and fair election, like they did with Donald J. Trump. I don't like this trend where we're trying to turn men, and you call it this. Masculinity is masculinity. I like masculinity. Masculinity is actually the one thing that saved me in life. I was grateful to have my grandfather, who was the strongest example of what it means to be a man, right? And because of that, having that structure, it actually saved me, because he taught me personal responsibility. He taught me to have a relationship with God, right? And yes, he's a man's man. He did everything with his hands. He worked on a sharecropping farm from the time he was 5 years old. Today, that archetype of what a man is being taught that there's something wrong with it, that there's something that's implicitly violent about being a man, and that's wrong. And I think the people that are harmed the most by it, by the way, are women. Women are harmed the most. When you break down men and strong fathers, we are the ones that suffer the most.
And also, can I just say that, you know, men commit suicide at faster rates than women. Women actually live longer than men. Most men are actually in prison, and most men, more than women, are homeless. So
Women graduate more
there
from college.
more women
In what way are we
in
suffering? What
university.
statistic do you feel that women are suffering and men aren't? Because there might be a meninist. There might need to be a meninism movement.
You have a female prime minister.
I would just say, I mean, there's a lot of things to address there, but to begin with, what you say about having a strong grandfather, a male figure, if you're saying that you've internalized these things, these messages that he taught you, then surely there's nothing inherently masculine about those qualities. I mean, I don't understand how you're defining masculinity.
I don't understand how you're defining it.
Yeah, why don't you
define it?
Why don't you define it?
Because you're the one that so you should define what masculinity means to you.
Well, I mean, it depends. I would say masculinity now, obviously, just being a social construct, literally nothing more than a set of expectations that are placed on someone.
So then how can you call it, if it's a social construct, how can you call it toxic?
Because social constructs can be toxic. If you have a patriarchal society that is sending a message that men need to be dominant or they need to be, I know you don't like the word violent, but I think there's something violent about it.
About masculinity?
No. About the sort of masculinity that we have now, this toxic.
What makes that a construct, though? In order for something to be a construct, it has to begin as a norm, which a majority amount of people follow. A majority of people.
If you have a patriarchal society that is sending messages that men need to possess certain qualities, and I believe the qualities that they're suggesting should be adopted are bad.
Which quality? I just need to know what exactly you've seen when you've said that is an example of toxic masculinity.
I think men feeling that they need to dominate spaces physically and speaking over women, interrupting women, belittling them.
Yeah.
Do you see how good I'm being?
I mean, you can.
So, just a question. So, you just said when men interrupt and dominate spaces. Were you a toxic feminist when you interrupted me when I was on stage?
No, I was interrupting something.
I'm just asking.
That I fundamentally don't believe it.
I'm just asking because you're saying that somebody interrupting someone is now a symbol of toxic masculinity. You just interrupted me on stage, so are you a toxic feminist?
I wasn't interrupting you because I didn't.
You went bullshit.
Yeah, because you were talking
bullshit.
Because you were talking bullshit. I didn't interrupt you because you're a woman. I interrupted you because I didn't believe what you were saying. It's not that I didn't believe.
But maybe that's what men do sometimes. Is it possible that men sometimes interrupt because they disagree with what women are saying and not because they're toxic masculinity in the air? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Is that you're coming up with terms, and sometimes people just interrupt. I'm fine with the fact that you interrupted me. It happens all the time, and I'm not holding that against you. I'm just using it to prove a point that you've created an entire concept around when men interrupt women, but you literally just interrupted me, and you don't identify as yourself as a toxic feminist.
No, because I interrupted you on the basis that I didn't agree with the politics you're espousing, both of you.
Well, maybe men disagree with what you're saying.
Because you're a woman. The fact that you're a woman is completely irrelevant to me.
But maybe it's irrelevant to men as well when they interrupt people. Men interrupt other men. Men interrupt women.
That's not the case.
We're
There's a culture of men's voices being valued more than women's.
What is your metric for
this? Give us one piece of data.
Yeah,
one.
like a data.
Any piece of data.
You can't just say there's a culture of men interrupting women. What's your data point for this?
Any kind of interpretivist data where you're looking at interactions, at dynamics, you can see. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like a statistic?
Like a fact?
Yeah.
Any fact.
Any kind of.
How about the stuff on the news?
A recent huge cultural example, maybe?
So can I ask a question? Do you think we live in a patriarchy?
Yes.
Why do women live longer than men? Why are men more likely to commit suicide? Why do women compose 50+% of college graduates?
Why do we control 89% of the spending power within households if men are the ones that are going out and making all of the money, as we like to say?
Because women have the sole responsibility of caring for the house and the children.
So it's a patriarchy that allows women a lot of responsibility?
Within a household, within a certain sphere, not a powerful one. The household is not a powerful
Then why are majority
sphere.
of business startups women, majority of master's degrees, and majority of doctorate degrees in the States?
The thing about women living longer, married women live the least long. Unmarried women live longest because they do not have the responsibilities, the emotional labor of being
Marriage
with a
is
man.
emotional labor.
Pardon?
Marriage is emotional labor for women, and that's
a great point.
Well, no, because the way that women support men, like, it's a huge part.
We live in a
They support each
I'm
other.
not saying no, they don't. No, they don't. I'm talking.
But so
about
this is sort of, I appreciate the discussion that we're having. You're such a perfect reason for why I
you're
could
all
never be
emotion.
a feminist,
No
because
facts.
everything that I just couldn't. It's like, You don't really know why you're calling it toxic. You did the exact same thing, but you decided that when men interrupt, it's because you're a woman. But you decided that when you interrupt, it's just because you had a differing opinion.
You asked me for one example.
I know. And then you say stuff about the marriage and breakdown as an emotional labor. There are women, just so you know, that aspire to get married and have children and stay at home and raise good children. And that's okay. So, but why are you now making it seem like that puts us in a position that's less than man? Want to create a society? Be the person that raises every individual that's in society. Feminism has made it seem like there's something wrong with being a mother, that there's something wrong with being a wife. And everything that you've just said is that. You have. It's not emotional labor. I want to have children. I want to raise my children. I don't want to be the CEO of a company and not have a husband. And that's not what I aspire to. And that's why feminism is having a hard time with a lot of women who are realizing that when they give up everything that they naturally want in life to be a feminist, they end up miserable and alone.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Please don't tell me that I'm sitting here because I'm sitting here because I worked hard. I was personally responsible. I'm not sitting here because of feminism. No, I am not sitting here because of any feminist. Trust me.
So can I ask? Can a man?
Yeah, but
ask a question?
feminism is supposed to be about choice, and what radical feminism is actually doing is taking away that choice and making women feel bad about wanting to maybe be the traditional view of what a woman is. There's nothing wrong with having a choice to do both. I don't really understand your point.
No, I agree. Feminism isn't trying to destroy the family. Women can happily be mothers, and they can.
You just said it's emotional labor to be married.
It is in some way. There is an imbalance where men.
It's not. I don't feel that way. So does that make which one of us is less of a woman? We have different opinions.
What do you mean, which of us is less of a woman?
You're saying that it is, and I'm saying that it's not. We have a differing opinion, and the reason why I don't like feminism is because it basically tells us that we have to feel this way, that we have to feel bitter towards men, towards husbands, towards marriage, towards children, and that's why I'm trying to let you know the feminist movement is considered very radicalized because there are many women, especially conservative women, who just don't feel that way. We don't feel burdened by children and marriage.
Can I give you some facts, though, to support this? No? You don't want to hear from a man? Okay. Wait, you see how things get really dangerous and you start to generalize men and women all of a sudden, like you did?
I just wanted to continue the conversation that I was having with Candace.
We'll talk about facts later. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I understand that some women want a family and they want to be mothers. I completely respect that. But all feminism is doing is telling you that you do have a choice. And I don't believe radical feminism is pushing women into hating the family. It's just suggesting that maybe this doesn't have to be your lot. And some women have internalized values that make them think that this is what they want when really they might not.
So I really do want a husband and children one day.
Okay,
so,
fine,
but what I'm saying to you is the reason why I don't like feminism is because feminists think feminism is mandatory. The second you find out that a girl doesn't identify as a feminist, you're up here and you're asking a bunch of questions. I don't like the feminist movement. I think it's become very toxic and very hostile towards men. If you believed in the equality that men and that women should be able to think whatever we wanted, you wouldn't be debating me right now. You'd say, well, more power to you because you'd be a true feminist. But you're not. You're trying to...
I think that you're belittling other women.
I'm not belittling them. You're allowed to be a feminist. I'm not telling you you can be a feminist. You could buy a pussy hat if you left today and I wouldn't mind. I've never had an issue with people that are feminists. I have an issue when people tell me that I now have to be a feminist or that it's complete bullshit when I say that I think it's harmful to keep telling men that masculinity is wrong. Masculinity is a component of being a man. I think a society needs and thrives on strong men. There's never been a society without strong men. There's never been a society without strong men. And because I support that, you're upset and you're calling bullshit. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with strong men? Why does that make you upset?
I just think that the values, you referenced the Gillette advert. All it was saying was, the message was fundamentally just stop being violent.
No, it
wasn't.
In your view.
Little toddlers.
Boys will be boys. Boys tend to be reckless. They tend to punch each other and wrestle each other. That's a healthy, necessary part of the child development process. Trying to demonize that in the parental guidelines that Gillette was trying to have in a 30-second to a minute ad is toxic feminism, attacking toxic masculinity. So let me give you some examples super quick. So you say, that's not what feminism wants. The predominant viewpoint in the university now in the States and the UK is an anti-male posture, whether it be papers that literally say abolish men, whether it be books that say the problem with men. You're looking at me funny. The Huffington Post publishes at least a weekly piece that says that men should have a less powerful role in society.
Cancel white men.
Cancel white men is a common theme. The Me Too movement Oh, so you agree with it? Okay.
The men have done a lot
Can you repeat what you
historically.
just said?
They've won every single war, every freedom that we have in
Can you
society
repeat what
is
you
because
just
of
said?
men.
I said it's because white men have historically done so much shit. They're just
So
asking
you
you to
do
stop
agree
for
with the
once.
anti-male posture. So your
No,
true
I
radical
don't.
feminism
I don't
comes
agree
out
with it.
after 10 minutes of cross-examination. Before you said, I have no problem with men. Now you said
you're
it's
saying
because
you
white
do.
men have done a lot of shit.
Yeah, but-
Now we get to revealing who you really are,
But
which
that
is
is
a
what
hateful,
feminism is.
angry person.
They just hate men. There is no other
No,
platform.
They don't hate men. They're just.
You just
there's
said-
no problem. There is no problem with analyzing the actions of men in history and condemning them.
You mean like
What
men
about
in
all the
World
good
War II?
ones?
You know the ones
What
who
about all
died
the good
for our
ones?
freedom. So that's wrong. We can't do that.
Like defeating the
Or,
Nazis?
or people, men who had inventions, anything that men have invented, we can't use anymore.
Slavery
So there-
wasn't
there's-
ended in America because
no, but there's
women were
positives and
fighting.
negatives.
It's complete hyperbole.
What about all the good? What about all the good things? Everything that we have in society, every war that was fought and won was because of men. Do you ever think
Half
about
the
that?
wars were unnecessary anyway. I mean, wars
But they
that we
happen,
fought
though.
and
Now
Now
we're
won.
spiraling. Now
Yeah,
we're
and
spiraling.
But they happen
by
and then
men
fought in them.
So what they won was that they started unnecessarily.
Yeah, women have
They
never
took big
started
contri-
wars, but wars have never been fought over women in this country. That never happened, Henry VIII. Right? What's the point?
Because he was an adulterer. I mean, that's a terrible example.
Do you
What,
think
just
that,
wanted to
that
shag
women? Let me
around
ask you a
and have a
question.
male
Do you
heir.
think
That's an
women can
awful
have done
example.
anything wrong, or that women can do anything wrong? Like, would you have been okay if there was like a strict razor commercial like about toxic femininity? Would that have been okay with you?
Can you tell me what you think toxic femininity
Accusing
is?
men of things that never happen and
Yeah.
calling it sexual
Like
assault?
what?
Like Brett Kavanaugh?
He is an awful man and a rapist.
Wait, he's a what? He's an
He's
honorable
an awful man. An
Hon-
awful man.
Honorable?
I said awful.
Prove it.
What?
Yeah, facts. Name one fact of anything awful he's ever done.
He raped someone.
because
You mean-
she said
A
so.
yeah, show
wait,
me
hold
some
on.
evidence.
Because she said so.
That wasn't even a trial in a court. It was in front of a.
So
bunch
why
of-
isn't there a trial in the court? Why didn't she go file it?
Why didn't she file a police report?
Because
She
there
can't
was no
remember the
evidence.
date, time, place, no witnesses.
We have this culture, this toxic culture where women aren't.
The same
believed.
culture leads to
Okay.
people like Jussie Smollett then faking a hoax because you have to be
Bingo.
a victim. No, you can't then sit here and say that without facts that you can say he's a rapist, but then Jussie Smollett can get away with saying there was people shouting, "This is Trump country, we're going to beat you up," without facts. You either have facts or both, or you can't just leave them.
Why did he feel necessary to do that?
Okay,
Because
can I
he wants
ask
to
you-
start a race war.
Evident that-
Can I
Because he
just? I
wants
want to
to
ask
put
you a last
people against
question.
each other.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you think? So now we're getting. Now this is why I don't support feminism, by the way. Because do you believe in the concept that women should just be believed absent facts? Because that was the Christine Blasey Ford thing. There was not a single fact. Do you think that women should be believed absent facts if they say that they were raped and assaulted?
Not without fact, but I think there should be a culture of belief. If someone comes forward and says, a man or a woman comes forward and says something has happened to them, that they should be given the time to be heard and to
She was
speak
heard.
of their experience.
Okay, but I
not
just
by
hold
a
on.
court, not by
Rule
a
of
judge,
law.
not by legal professionals.
Why didn't she submit a police report?
At the time,
She
She
never
still
did.
hasn't.
because there is a culture of disbelief, because she was in an
But she had no
important
evidence.
position.
There's no statute of limitations for rape in Maryland. She could file a police report today. It's because she made up the entire thing.
No, she didn't.
So why doesn't she know the time, the place, no corroborating witnesses? Her story changed 8 times. None of her friends said it ever happened or she ever talked about it once before. Everything about her life story changed at least 6 times.
And
And
I-
2 of the women that came forward and said that something happened are actually under criminal conviction for making up the entire thing. They never met her once before. This was a con job to try to displace United States
It
Supreme
was a
Court
political
justice.
hit job. It really was. But I do want to say this to you and something for you to just consider because I think we should wrap this up because I don't think you're ever going to not be a feminist and I'm never going to be one, right? But it's really important when you start getting into that slippery slope of believing women, and I talk about this particularly in minority America because we've learned our lesson the hardest with this. And I think radicalized feminism, when I did an interview, I said it was the closest thing to white supremacy I've ever seen is radicalized feminism. The concept of just believing a woman because she said something is the direct thing that led to all of our ancestors getting lynched in America. When white women would just say that something happened, okay? And we were supposed to magically believe it. Our ancestors were then chased after, put into cars, Emmett Till, everything that happened in America happened because white women should just be believed. So you will never, ever, ever hear me stand behind a radicalized concept like just believe women because they're crying. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today.
Thank you.
Would you like to?
As you can imagine, there's a lot to unpack. I've literally, I've kind of lost even what I want to say because there's just so many things I want to talk about how she is, just her demeanor. There's literally no sort of anything in her voice. And it's funny to me how she can interrupt Candace and swear loudly and then, you know, proceed to say that, oh no, we get spoken over as women, but she does exactly the exact same thing. But no, because she said it, it means that it's because she disagrees with her. And when men do it, it's not because they disagree, it's just because they're men and they want to talk over women, of course. Also, the fact that it's just feelings over anything. I mean, they literally ask her, do you have any facts? No. Do you want to hear any facts? No, I don't care about facts. All they care about is feelings. And that's where we are as a generation when it comes to these modern feminists, these also these activists, the LGBTQI plus whatever activists, how they don't care about anything to do with facts. They care about feelings. And if you make them feel bad, then you are the devil and you're a bigot and you're the worst thing ever made. All right. Just the way how also she believes that everything that she says about the movement and, you know, her way of thinking and the way of the modern feminist thinking is the only way women should think. But if they, like I said, want to be a mother or want to be a wife or want to be someone different and doesn't want to lead, that's not going to work. That's not real. She has to be forced into that. That's not the way of thinking. But then she also says that, yeah, no, if women want to do that, they can do that. But that's wrong because, you know, men obviously are taking it. It's just that modern younger person this day and age who gets caught up in this trap where they are just taught to hate men. And that's where the dumbest phrase I've ever heard in my entire life, the toxic masculinity phrase, right? That to me is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. As Candace said, it is just masculinity. There's nothing like toxic masculinity. It's masculinity, and this day and age, we have grown up yet again. This term was never a thing back in the day, but now suddenly it's a thing because what men do, how men, let's say, when you're brothers or something, you wrestle and you fight or whatever, and you get over it. That's now toxic masculinity, apparently. It used to be kids having fun. Then also the fact that men, you know, have a lot of testosterone, so we are a little bit more aggressive. But that's toxic masculinity as well. So everything can be brought back to toxic masculinity, which is, like I said, the dumbest phrase I've ever heard in my life. She wants to interrupt. She wants to always disagree, and did pretty well by saying, look, you're never going to change your mind. No matter what we say, no matter what facts we throw at you, you still won't change your mind. And that's the modern day, like I said, this modern day activism, this modern day SJWs. It's annoying because you can't ever talk to them. You can't have a conversation. I've tried to have a conversation with these modern day SJWs, people that I know who are definitely become a little bit woke. I try to talk to them normally and just kind of say, look, I disagree with that. This is the reason why I disagree. And you're trying to have a back and forth, not an aggressive way, but then suddenly they start getting aggressive or they start shutting down and saying, no, you're offending me by saying these things. Then you kind of pull it back and you try and be like, okay, we're trying to have a normal conversation. So back and forth, it doesn't work that way. They either accuse you of something, they get aggressive, or they leave the conversation. There's no more back and forth in this day and age. And a lot of people love to listen to Destiny. I mean, most of his interviews and kind of debates are pretty good, but I've noticed more and more lately, since obviously his wife has left him, the one obviously where they had an open relationship where they can have affairs with other people. Since she left, he's kind of been a little bit different. The way he always talks, he acts like he's better than people. And he also has that kind of, he has to disagree with you at all times. No matter what it is, he has to go the opposite side. And that's what modern day people are like. They always have to go against you. And if you disagree, then you're wrong, we're right. And there's no way that no one will ever listen to you. And you should shut up. You shouldn't even talk. Because freedom of speech is a little bit of a yesterday thing, unfortunately. But let's end it on that. Like the video if you like it. Please comment as well. Do you agree with me? Disagree? What do you think about this girl? The way of her thinking? Let me know below in the comments. And please subscribe as well. Like I said, 80% of the viewers are not subscribed. So hopefully we've earned it. Thank you for watching.